the 7 veteran benefits that you might not be aware of if you are 100% permanent total. And if you're unaware of these, they legitimately could be saving you thousands of dollars in your day-to-day life. So let's dig in. The very first one is the Dependents Indemnity Compensation, DIC, which basically says that your spouse can, your surviving spouse can get between $1,300 and $2,000 a month in compensation if you pass away from your injuries that were service-connected while still married, or after 10 years. So the key rule here is if a veteran holds 100% PNT for 10 years, then the cause of death no longer has to be considered service-connected. But if it is a service-connected cause of death, either of those two situations, that spouse can still be eligible for this DIC compensation to take care of your family after you've passed. So for those of you who aren't 100% permanent in total, there are a few things. So the way that this is factored is you've got your single, like service-connected disabilities. You've got multiple conditions, like things that are attached to those. You've got what they call secondary issues, which are something. So like, for example, I had a traumatic brain injury when I was blown up in Afghanistan that led to PTSD. So PTSD could be considered a secondary, or you could look at the hearing aid could potentially be considered secondary to the IED. And, you know, all those things are like tied into one thing and how the VA chooses to rate it. But there are other things like, for example, I was unaware that, I have this weird, it's like called like radiculopathy or whatever, where like my arm goes numb. And that is actually tied into the traumatic brain injury. So even though I never went and saw a doctor about this because I didn't really know it was a thing until years later, when I finally got this checked out and it turns out it's like 2 slipped discs or whatever in my neck, my vertebrae is kind of jacked up. All of that is tied into as a secondary for the IED blast. And so, you know, not to dig into my own stuff, but just to say, like, some of these things branch out over time, and because they're considered caused by the initial injury, they can get added in, and all of that cumulatively adds up to a total percentage. And there's some weird mathematical scale that the VA uses, but once it totals out to you get 100%, then the difference between permanent total, PNT, and non-permanent total is simple. PNT can't be reassessed. You've got it for life. Non-permanent total, so like you hit 100%, but it's injuries that aren't necessarily seen as going to be something that will affect you for life. They can reassess that over time. And so you just need to be aware of that and maybe be proactive about just ensuring that you continue to document when things bother you, rather than going through life and being like, everything's amazing, and then wondering why. They're like, well, hey, we saw everything was amazing, you know. So anyway, look, the VA is not out to screw you. Everyone has this mentality, but the military has better benefits, and the veterans are taken care of better in the U.S. than anywhere else in the world. The VA is just trying to ensure that people don't overrun the system by filing BS claims, when really it's there to take care of you, not to like be a welfare check, if that makes sense. I'm okay with the fact that they're a little strict on what it takes to get to 100% PNT, because it just is taking care of the big economy as a whole by not giving away money that isn't actually earned. If you have an injury, you earned it. If you don't and you're making it up, shame on you. That's who I'm talking about. Number 2 is the CHAMP VA health insurance, which basically covers your spouses and children for civilian healthcare, not VA hospitals, but it can save you up to $5,000 a year in medical expenses, and you go to va.gov to apply. And this is just a way to really ensure that your kids and or spouse or dependents, whatever, are taken care of, because it's just a cool benefit of being 100% PNT. You also get access, number 3, to priority group 1 healthcare, meaning if you got an ambulance called, your ER visit would be covered, your hospital visit would be covered. You wouldn't be on the hook for the ambulatory bills and all of those unnecessary expenses because you're a disabled veteran, which is really cool, because if you've ever seen how much those cost, getting an ambulance ride, going to the hospital, not a cheap affair, and you don't want to be paying that out of pocket, so the VA will cover you for that if you meet these criteria. Number 4 here is you still get base access. You still go to the commissary. You can still buy food at the commissary, which means you can get the tax-exempt food, tax-exempt base spending, right? You can go on base and not have to pay taxes on crap. And you go to the commissary and you get those better prices at, you know, the tax-exempt pricing, which is awesome. And because you are a disabled veteran and therefore not active duty anymore, you can do the rest of us who are active duty a favor, and you can go in the middle of a workday during the week, so that on the weekends, it's not nearly as chaotic for everybody who's still active duty and can't go middle of the workday during the week. Haha. And now it's time for a paid advertisement from me, Other Dave. Today, we're going to talk through, I want to drop a QR code for the War Room Mastermind. So if you are a service member or veteran and you are serious about wanting to achieve your financial goals, click that code, book a link with my team to talk about how our mastermind and mentorship can help you out. This is not for everybody. This is for people who have already made a few steps, whether it's real estate investing, business ownership, whatever, and they want that tight-knit military community. It's only open to service members and vets that is there to be supportive of you and your goals. Again, this is not like the newbie handhold thing. This is not for beginners. I'm not trying to pitch you on stuff, but if you are looking for that next level, go ahead and click that link and join. And I will say, one of the first things that we do in your onboarding process is introduce you to a member. He's not tied to me. I don't get anything out of it, who helps people with their VA claims for a living. And so we will help you navigate kind of the muddy waters that is filing your claim to streamline that process and get you here, which, assuming you're not at 100% PNT and you are eligible for it and just never navigated it, that'll pay for your membership, multiple times over in the very first year. So I just say all that to say, if you're looking to achieve financial freedom and your goals and be around a military community, click that link. Back to the normal video. Number 5 on the list is Chapter 35 education benefits. So this is up to $1,300 a month as a stipend for dependents and spouses. I think it's just $1,300 like blanket. But if say your kid goes to school on Chapter 35 benefits for 4 years at college, that's up to a $62,000 in stipends, right? Like that's a significant benefit towards their education, not including the GI Bill and the transferability, assuming you have that. This is just because you're 100% permanent total, you get Chapter 35 benefits for your kids, your spouse, to go to school and get this benefit. And I don't believe it is limited to one. Like it can be all of them get this benefit for education, which is awesome. Number 6, depending on your state, and this is very state dependent, and I am not the state expert for all 50 states. So if you comment down below asking about your state, I'm going to say, Google it, because I don't know, but feel free to comment for engagement, and then I'll respond, and then you can be like, meh, and then we'll just have this back and forth about a pointless conversation that drives engagement to the video, which I'm here for. But that said, you can get property taxes exempted, you can get registration, like vehicle registration benefits, you can get a lot of this stuff. So if you're in Texas or Florida, for example, disabled vets don't pay property tax. I honestly don't know what states do what, but those are just 2 off the top of my head that I know. Like property tax in Texas is not cheap. And as a disabled veteran, it is waived for you. And that's huge, right? That is a significant chunk of your annual payments and obligations that's gone. Now, this isn't for all your rental properties, this is for the house you live in, but still awesome. All right, now number 7 here is just other state-specific hidden perks. So depending on your state, a lot of them waive toll roads, like toll fees on roads. They waive, there's parking, like special parking for veterans at, whether it's the handicap spot or, like, for example, my mall has, not that this is a state benefit, but it's cool. My mall has a plaque for disabled vets or whatever, and you can park right there at the very front, and it's super convenient, and I love it. And unfortunately, there's more vets than there are parking spots, so I often don't get it, but it is what it is. Last time I was there was some guy parked there in a Charger, and I laughed because I was like, isn't that every stereotype? The service member in the expensive-ass, high-interest car. I say that as I now have an expensive-ass, high-interest car. That said, you can also get airport benefits, right? Like, depending on your state again, free parking at an airport, which could be hundreds of dollars every time you travel, depending on how long you leave your car there. And so there's a lot of these very unique benefits. So just go to your state's website and ask about VA benefits. Like it's the, for like Missouri, it's the Missouri VA benefits. And you just Google it and it pops up and you'll find all this stuff. And so every state has very unique benefits. And some of them will save you a lot of money, and some of them just make your life a little bit more convenient, all of which are worth knowing about. That being said, I hope you got something out of this video. I'm trying to just move the needle forward with service members and vets understanding what's open to them and really being able to take advantage of their benefits so that they don't become another statistic, because we don't want that, right? We want you taking full advantage of all your benefits so that you can live the life that you fought to earn, and you fought for other people's freedom, so why don't you get some of this freedom? So all that being said, if you got something out of this, let me know. If you found something or you know of a benefit that I left out, I would love to learn about it. So please comment and tell me about it. And by all means, if you know what your state's benefits are, drop them down below. Let's hear what your state offers, because I don't know it all. I mean, I can Google it all for you and I can create it all, but the reality is Hearing it firsthand from people receiving these benefits is always better. Now, the last thing I'll say is this. Of these benefits, which is your favorite? Comment down below. Have a great day. I love you all.